I think my girlfriend is cheating on me through her Dungeons and Dragons game?
I guess she rolled a nat 1 on deception.
I, 27 male, have been going out with my girlfriend, 25 female, for almost 4 years. And we've been living together for a few months. She's funny and wonderful and kind and honestly pretty much everything I've ever wanted in a girl. She's also a bit of a D&D type nerd, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's good that she has her own friends and hobbies. By the way, this comes from leaving questions. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So she tried getting me into it, but I don't really get it. She tried teaching me about Dungeons and Dragons, but there were just too many weird rules and dice, and I just didn't see the fun in it. Red flag?
That's a red flag. Maybe she's a bad teacher.
We tried playing Baldur's Gate 3 together, thinking that it would be easier to get into for me and for me to experience her world in a way, but I got really bored really fast, and at that point, it was better to let her do her own thing. We've got plenty of other stuff that we do together, and as I said, it's not a big deal for her to have hobbies that don't include me, and she does love her hobby, and she gets very excited about her weekly games and sometimes tells me about the epic adventures they go on, which admittedly sounds pretty fun secondhand, but is not really fun for me. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so we have a bedroom and a home office that we share where our laptops are. Her Dungeons and Dragons games are online and usually happen in the evening, so I just hang out in the living room or go out when she plays so as not to intrude. But a few weeks ago, I noticed that she locks the door when she plays.
Interesting.
It depends how intense the D&D sessions are.
I thought it was a little weird because why would you lock the door to play Dungeons and Dragons? And it didn't sit right with me. So I did what I now think might have been very sad and pathetic, but I genuinely didn't know what else to do. The last few weeks when she had her game, I sat out in the hall by the door and I listened.
I understand that he's coming from a place of, suspicion. I do think we could have just been like, hey, can I come listen to one of your games?
She uses headphones, so I could only really hear her side of the game. And at first, it was just some stuff about rolling dice, joking around with her friends, and spells doing whatever. But I kept at it. I sat there for 4 hours last week. She also said that me sitting outside to listen in on her game was a violation of her privacy and showed that I didn't trust her, which was why she felt like she needed to lock the door in the first place. I apologize for that, but at the same time, I said that me being wrong to eavesdrop doesn't justify what she did, to which she said she didn't do anything wrong. It was just what the game was. And it was just a game, but that made me feel even worse. Maybe I'm being whiny or misreading it, but she is the first person that I was ever really vulnerable with like that. And the way she spoke to me when she told me how much she loved me, it was just so similar to the way she spoke as her character that it made me uncomfortable. It made me feel like something was only mine and only for me was just being given to someone else for a game, and it felt like it cheapened it. Was she faking it with me? Was she genuinely feeling that for another person? I don't know what exactly it is that's bothering me because technically she's not wrong, but I don't care if she's technically not cheating. I just feel like there are certain sides of my girlfriend that should be reserved only for me, shouldn't there? I couldn't really verbalize it to her, and after a bunch of arguing back and forth, we just went to bed. And for the past few days, we've been in this weird state of limbo where we're both going on like nothing happened, but also there's clearly tension. Today, I couldn't take it anymore and said that we needed to talk about it. I said that I understood her hobbies are important to her, but I am her boyfriend and there should be certain things that are just for me. I can't go on knowing that she's talking like that to some other guy, so I told her that I support her going on with the games, but I ask that she no longer locks the door and no longer do whatever romantic stuff that she does in game. Why even play?
Why even play?
She said I didn't mind when she talked to me at length about her romance with the Asterion guy in Baldur's Gate. I told her again that that's not the same. I don't mind her playing at romance with a bunch of pixels and being moved by fiction, but that her D&D game isn't just fiction. It's her telling those things to an actual person, and that bothers me, so I want her to stop. She said I was being possessive and controlling and that I can't tell her to not have hobbies or how to behave. I told her that's true, but if she doesn't understand how I feel about this, we might not have a future together. She got angrier and said, I'm clearly not in a state to be having this discussion, and we'll talk again when I've calmed down. And we went to school. She's getting her MA. But in the time since, I've been the opposite of calming down. I just get more upset the more I think about it. Clearly, me being upset should at least make her consider stopping, even if she isn't actually cheating outright. Shouldn't my feelings matter on this issue? But also, maybe I'm not being reasonable. Maybe I am overreacting. Help!
Oh boy, I can't wait for the comments to roast you.
We have a very charged up Sophia Donner. Sophia, the floor is yours.
I'm upset. Again, she is acting. She is playing a character in a game that is completely different from her. However, a lot of who she is comes probably because she's not like a professional actor. Even if she was, a lot of who you are comes out in the characters because you don't necessarily, if you're not like a professional, you don't know how to create an entirely different person from you who's like so far removed. So she's pulling from what she knows to create and play a character for a game. The fact that, I mean, okay, I don't think that this is like they have to break up. I think that there is a way they can get out of this if she makes him watch just hours of D&D podcasts. I need him to go, his homework is to go watch D&D podcasts to understand that these are actors playing characters. And that everything that happens in the world, as long as all of the players are, consenting and everything, and it's not like icky stuff, like stuff that makes
everyone's on board, everyone's comfortable.
Everyone's on board, everyone's comfortable, then it has nothing to do with your relationship outside.
Yeah.
It's just completely different. Again, this is the same as actors acting in a play and confessing love to someone in a play. I mean, like, and his whole thing about like, oh, well, you're reading lines. Okay, well, what if I'm improvising in a scene and I confess love to someone? That's not real.
And guess what? D&D is improv.
Yeah, it's a really interesting scenario because it's like, I think, again, like me not understanding D&D at all, the actor's example, I'm like, I get it instantaneously. Yeah, it's like, hey, if this is acting, I will say too, though, and I'm curious on both of your perspective, but specifically you, Sophia, like I could see someone saying, and I think this would be reasonable, where it's like, hey, I understand like people who are actors, like you have scenes where you're confessing love, or maybe like there's like scenes or whatever in a movie, in a play or whatever. And it's like, I totally respect that and salute to that, but I don't know if I'm built for that if my partner is doing that. But you just don't like, that's just like a misalignment, and you don't like try to make something work that doesn't work there. We've got some other relevant comments, ladies and gentlemen. What a breakdown. So, Low Flight 3701 says, I'm sorry to say this, but yes, absolutely. I don't play Dungeons and Dragons anymore and don't like it, but people do all sorts of things to maintain an atmosphere where they feel safe. Role-playing is incredibly vulnerable, and it's easy to feel stupid if someone overhears. You should have asked why she locked it if you were curious. Again,
get curious.
Yeah, get curious before invading privacy. Always. Or just don't invade privacy. Try that. Your post implies that rather than her having an actual emotional affair, which is possible but unlikely, the point of contention is the act of saying it to someone else hurt your feelings. I can see why it would, honestly, but you hit her with a double whammy. You invaded her privacy and then made an accusation. She's not going to be in a state to be considerate of your feelings after that. Do you want a relationship to still be there after you win the argument? I don't want to be harsh, but this seems like a bad situation. You're probably a decent person and you're hurt right now, but there are times when you have to recognize that you're the transgressor. TLDR, yes, if you had asked about the lock or asked more about what the games are like before eavesdropping, you would likely not be surprised and hurt.
I agree. If he had gotten a little bit more curious, I mean, like she's trying to teach him, and I think probably every time she's talked about it, he's like, yeah, okay, it's so many rules. And I feel like if he had asked a couple more questions about what was normal, or even done a little research before he made all of those, demands.
I accept that I probably effed up here, maybe a lot, and I will apologize for it, but I just can't be okay with her simulating a romantic relationship with another person. I can't. And if I just apologize and let it go, I'm going to be spending the rest of our time together feeling like I have to share her emotional vulnerability, if that makes sense. I don't want to be a prude, but I can't get comfortable with my girlfriend telling other people she loves them romantically. Even in the context of a game, it hurts too much. And we have an update, ladies and gentlemen. So, having read the comments y'all gave, I thought I maybe was actually overreacting and really did F up. Especially helpful, I thought, was a comment someone made about asking her about maybe keeping the door unlocked and being allowed to listen in on the session to get context and learn to accept her hobby and let her still enjoy it without me spiraling. So when she came home from school, I made an apology dinner, homemade pizza from scratch, her favorite. When I saw pizza at first, I'm like, homemade pizza? Okay.
Pizza from unnamed chain.
And so we then sat down to talk. She started by demanding an apology because whatever else I say, eavesdropping and not trusting her were huge F-ups on my part. I agreed and apologized immediately because that was crappy behavior on my part, no question. That helped her to be more open to hearing me out. So I said more calmly and tactfully that it bothers me that she is simulating romantic love with a person I don't know in a context I don't understand. I said that I can and do apologize for my actions, but I can't change how I feel, and that also needs to be discussed. So she asked what I had in mind. I told her I think that trust should go both ways. So me trusting that the game is just a game and it doesn't mean anything is well and good, but in return, I'd like for her to keep the door unlocked and let me sit in for a few sessions. I promise not to be disruptive, not to overreact or interrupt the game, and to bring up any issues I had privately with her until after the game was over. She seemed relieved because she was so worried I'd demand she drop the game or break up with her, and she said personally she didn't mind, but she needed to bring it up with her group, which I thought was very reasonable. The rest of the evening, though, she was constantly on her phone, constantly getting Discord notifications, and seemed more and more upset. This lasted for literally hours, well into the night past when I was asleep. I asked if anything was wrong, and she said maybe, but not to wait up, and she promised to tell me everything in the morning.
She's getting all these notifications?
Yeah, and maybe she even shared,
Yeah, she might have said, he's not really comfortable, so he wants to listen in, and they were like, no.
So I didn't get much sleep, but I also didn't want to pry too much, having just promised not to. Good boy. So come morning, when I asked what happened, since she clearly didn't get much sleep and was clearly nervous, she said she brought it up with the group and reactions were mixed. I'm going to give these people fake names to track. So when she brought it up, everyone seemed okay with me listening in except Joe. Now, this obviously made my girlfriend respond that seeing the relationship between their characters was the whole point of me listening in, to which he said that I'm being unreasonable and violating his boundaries by making unreasonable demands. This was already pretty bad in my eyes, but then she told me about the private messages. After the group exchange, she got 3 messages. One was from Joe. Joe wrote a long, really, really long message about how much he cared about her, how much it hurt him to see her dim her light to appease a controlling, harmful boyfriend who stifled her creativity, and how she should be with someone who appreciated her, and that he was available if she wanted to talk. He finished with a paragraph about how women like her always go for the selfish a-holes and don't appreciate all the wonderful guys around them. How he felt such a connection with her through their characters, and how could she ignore it? I genuinely couldn't believe I was seeing one of these in the wild. I don't usually get secondhand embarrassment, but that crap is so cringe, I almost passed away. I genuinely laughed. I couldn't really be angry because that crap was just so sad. She also got messages from Jenny, another player, who said Joe seemed way too invested in the romance for her taste, and she thought that those segments were taking up a lot of game time, which she thought was better used elsewhere. She never said anything because she thought that my girlfriend was really into it, but now that it became an issue, she thought that she should. She also mentioned she found Joe creepy, which I personally appreciate. Jenny's a girl's girl. I don't know any of these people IRL because it's an online group, but I certainly think Jenny might be my new best friend. Finally, there was a message from Mitch, the man running the game, who said that Joe reached out to him demanding I not be allowed, and this is a quote, to violate the intimacy of the group. And he should talk to my girlfriend too to get her to drop me listening in and possibly drop me altogether. I don't even know how or why Mitch would even attempt to do that. Mitch, make her break up with her boyfriend.
Make her break up with him.
Do it, Mitch.
You're the DM, Mitch. Come on.
You roll the dice and pick it. All this resulted in them canceling the next game as they work it out. My girlfriend didn't respond to Joe yet, but at least she seems relieved that I am taking this well. I told her, of course I am. I'm not going to be upset over some guy being into her. This is good. She's wonderful. Of course, guys are going to be into her wherever she goes. The issue I was worried about was that she was into him back, and these messages convinced me that that is clearly not the case, which seems to have made her feel a lot better. We talked a bit more, and now she seems to agree that locking the door in context might have seemed suspicious, and that going forward, our ground rule should be that character dynamics that make her feel like she should lock the door might be the exact dynamics she should make me aware of, which I promise to trust her to tell me these things and to not eavesdrop anymore, and to approach her openly about listening in on sessions. Also, the romance with Joe's character isn't going to continue.
I think Joe should be like out of the group.
Yeah, Joe sounds like a terrible person to have in the group. Like,
again, like in past D&D experiences and stuff where like I've had a couple moments where someone has kind of crossed boundaries or like made someone else uncomfortable. And the DM was super like as a DM, I think you are kind of like HR. You are like the boss of the game kind of, but you're also HR. And so people come to you. Hopefully you're a good person, but people come to you. And so you have to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. And so I think that they should get rid of Joe.
Imagine Joe was the dungeon master.
And that does happen.
Everyone
really
must love me and break up with their boyfriends.
Unfortunately, that is a thing that happens.
There are some really power crazy DMs out there.
Especially when you have like women in a group, you have to be very careful.
Now, also, the romance with Joe's character isn't going to continue, but seeing how she feels about Joe now, I think I do trust her to do character romance going forward, just to not hide it from me or be selective who she does it with. I don't know how this Joe situation is going to be handled within the group, but I guess that's up to them. Since playing with him is obviously going to be very awkward for her, guess since she doesn't intend to keep up the romance, it doesn't really matter. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this, just as juicy and just as informational. Go to Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast and search OK Storytime and binge our 2000 episode catalog. But let's get into the end of the story here. Small edit, since the situation has basically resolved itself now. Joe didn't like being left on red, so he wrote my girlfriend a very rude message, here we go, about how, I kid you not, she was going to pass away alone with cats because her a-hole boyfriend is going to leave her when she loses her looks. He literally never saw her in person, to be clear, uncovering my secret plan, I guess. So she blocked him and sent a screenshot to Mitch. Joe isn't going to be part of the group anymore. I'm sorry, but like just the very first message, if I'm like Dungeon Master,
yeah.
Block.
Absolutely.
Kick
Second
out.
that
Done.
Joe comes to anyone and says they have to break up with their girlfriend and I am in love with, or like whatever he said. Bye. Bye.
Out of here. Girlfriend apologized for not recognizing how absolutely unhinged this guy was. We reasserted that in any game interaction she isn't comfortable having in front of me is probably one that she shouldn't be having. Relevant comments. Familiar Barracuda 43 says, I'm glad everything seems well, but I feel like you still need to have a discussion about why she was locking the door in the first place, because to me, that says on some level she knew it was wrong and that it would hurt you. And if I was you, I'd be unable to not cope with that until I get the full truth.
I mean, I disagree with that because I feel like they've already addressed it.
Yes.
And also we know that the first 4-hour session, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know.
She didn't like, this is something that she very much loves. She wants to be able to do it and express herself fully without limitation.
Yeah. Like it's clearly not that every time she has a session, she's like romancing someone or whatever. It's like, we already know. The first we watched or listened to was fine.
I feel like, yeah, it was like she got uncomfortable because she's like, oh, I don't want to feel like I have to change myself or something like that. OP says, from what she said since, it basically wasn't so much about knowing this was wrong, since she supposedly was locking her door at her parents' home too, which is where she lived before, and before the romance even took place, and more about feeling safe to get into the headspace to perform. Since I explained that this was part of what made it feel so off to me, and given how Joe clearly had a very different view of the situation than her, she agreed that going forward the door should remain unlocked and she will work on getting more comfortable performing even in my presence, be it with me in voice chat or present in the room, since Joe's reaction clearly didn't happen in a void, unhinged as it was. And we have this relevant comment. P-Buns says, you were very valid with your feelings of being uncomfortable with your partner emulating love with another, even if it was just role-playing. I myself play D&D and would be super uncomfortable if my partner was sitting there flirting at the table with someone else, quote unquote, in character, so it's understandable that you would be too. I'm not sure why people thought your boundaries are wrong on your initial post. Glad you guys could figure it out nonetheless. And OP says, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but I love her, and if this is important to her, I feel I owe her at least the benefit of giving her that grace.
Don't fully agree with that last commenter. Again, like an excellent example of this is the D&D show that I watched, Dimension 20, the original group that they have. There is a married couple in it, and they both romance, different characters all the time. So it's,
At the end of the day, don't control people.
Don't control people.
Don't be doing that.
But you can still express as long as you're truthful and you don't eavesdrop on their conversations for 6 hours. If OP had gone to his partner and said, hey, why'd you lock the door? It makes me a little bit insecure. Probably would have solved things way earlier.
Would have all come out. But ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of that story.
I gave my boyfriend an engagement ultimatum. I want to take it back. My boyfriend and I are both young professionals in our late 20s who moved in together 6 months ago after graduating from professional school and relocating to a new city for work. We have been together for 4 years and have had no issues adjusting to living together. We're happy together, want the same things out of life, and take excellent care of each other. By the way, this comes from Dangerous Grocery, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, the issue is that I have known for a while that he is the person that I want to spend my life with. And I would like to settle down and hopefully start a family soon. I have been in a serious relationship, also lasted 4 years before him, so I know what I'm looking for. On the other hand, my boyfriend is not in the same headspace as me about this for a few reasons. 1, he was a late bloomer when it comes to relationships, and I was his first real girlfriend. And 2, he has a hard time making decisions about everything from his job to what pair of shoes to buy. When we discuss the future, I am very clear that I'm ready to settle down with him ASAP. He is also very clear that he loves me. He thinks we have a great thing, but he wants to take more time to see where it goes. He also jokes around about how he hasn't banged enough chicks. We had some serious commitment discussions last year when we were deciding where to live after graduating, and I told him that I wasn't going to try to relocate to the same city as him unless we were engaged. He didn't propose, and I stuck to my pew-pews. Despite very slim odds, we both coincidentally found jobs in the same city halfway across the country, so we moved there together and got an apartment together. Now, I'm starting to get fed up and heard about this situation. It was causing a lot of stress for me, and it was the main point of contention in our relationship. So in September 2017, I told him that when our lease is up in April 2018, I was going to move out unless we were engaged. He hasn't made a decision ever in his life without a deadline, so I figured this would help nudge him in the right direction. However, I'm starting to worry that he's not going to propose, mostly because he's telling me that he's not going to propose.
Wait, are we sure?
He's like, I don't know. I just get the feeling that he's not going to propose because he told me that.
But wait, won't he do the opposite of what he's exactly telling you?
Now I'm regretting this ultimatum, and I think maybe I was stupid for ruining a good thing by trying to rush things. But it's been 4 years. Also, I worry that if he does propose, it will be forced and he'll always regret it. On the other hand, I gave him basically the same ultimatum last year during our job search, and he made it very clear that he'd rather end up in different cities, which knowing us would likely mean breaking up, then get engaged. I'd like to think that I am being rational and empowered here, but am I being stupid and desperate? If he doesn't propose by April, should I stick to my pew-pews and move out, basically sacrificing this great relationship because it wasn't moving at my pace? I'm happy to answer any questions too. This situation is getting so stressful, and I appreciate anyone who takes the time to read this and give advice. And there is an update, but what are your thoughts, John?
It's just giving the classic, like, oh, my partner is so perfect except for everything about them, but then also all the other things. Like, bro is literally telling you that he wants to bang other chicks, he's not ready to commit, and I think, like, it's not that you're stupid and desperate, but I think we need to recognize the situation for what it is, and it's like, he does not want to commit, potentially doesn't even want to be in this relationship. He's just, like, waiting for you to end it. Like, it is good to recognize those things, because when you try to ultimatum or, like, you know, hard press someone into doing something, that's not going to be a winning scenario.
If you have to ultimatum someone into a proposal, you guys probably aren't ready to get married.
Not ready. I don't think they're ready. That's what I think.
I agree completely with you, John. One, you can't force someone to marry you. And also, it just really doesn't seem like this guy wants to be in a relationship with you. It just feels like he thinks it's the easiest option. He's like, I mean, I guess we're in the same city, so he's like, if I have the opportunity to bang other chicks.
What do you think I'm gonna do?
I don't think that you're wrong for wanting to marry someone after 4 years. I just think you're different.
But bro does kind of suck.
Bang other chicks, saying that to your girlfriend, wild. And she's like, yeah, he just makes funny jokes. He's just acting. It's like, no, girl, we're not playing D&D. This is real life. But there is an update.
Let's go.
Now on to the update. Boyfriend knew and acknowledged the ultimatum. He's like, yeah, I hear you. And I tried to use this as a springboard to have a serious conversation about where he sees the future going. We did have some sit-down talks that didn't really go anywhere. And he told me to stop bringing it up. So I stopped. We carried on for a little while being our happy selves without mentioning the ultimatum. Part of me hoped he had a proposal planned and would surprise me.
Okay, OP, we have to open our eyes for ourselves.
The man saying that he doesn't want to marry you and he wants to bang other chicks is not planning a surprise proposal for you. Now we are 10 days away from March 31st. Deadline, which I 100% plan to stick to. And he just told me that he wants me to visit his parents in their home in September. And after the visit, he would then talk with them about our relationship and consider proposing around December. Wait, now he's kind of changing his mind?
He's thinking about it.
Part of me is so insulted and angry by this idea. First of all, I have met his parents before and actually spent plenty of quality time with them. So far, I like them. They like me. They live in a more isolated state that's hard to get to from where I live. Plane tickets are pretty expensive, and it would be a 2-day drive. I have suggested that I visit them multiple times, and we've had plenty of opportunities to do so, but my boyfriend was against it for one reason or another. The saddest thing is that we both coordinated time off work last week. We knew about the vacation for months and had plenty of time to plan. He told me that he was going to visit his parents, and said that he was thinking about asking me to come with, but kept it vague. He's telling you that he was thinking about asking you to come with? He hasn't even asked you to come with?
I'm like thinking about it, but like there's these like other chicks that I want to bang and like I might invite them. So, you know, I'm thinking about it.
I looked up flights, which were reasonable in price at the time, and tried to plan everything. But when I presented the information to boyfriend, he would say, not now, too busy, and put off planning the trip. Then, less than 3 weeks before the vacation started, boyfriend told me I needed to come to his family's home with him on this trip, and if that didn't happen, there was no way he would propose. By that time, all the flights I had been tracking had gone way up in price because the departure date was so close. It would have been financially very tight for me to pay for the flight, and honestly, I think what he did was crappy. Because he told me at the last minute what I had to do instead of planning in advance like I had tried to do. So I thought it over and decided not to go with him. Now he is saying the reason he can't propose is because I haven't met his family in their home. Like I said, I've met his family a handful of times in the past. His family and my family have met each other. He says that this needs to happen for his family to be okay with us getting married. If he had told me any time before the vacation was close and flight prices shot up, it would have been fine. We had multiple vacations since I issued the ultimatum, and we could have gone to visit his parents then. I feel like this whole thing was him setting me up for failure so that he could not propose and then blame it on me. Not sure if it's relevant, but he is Asian American and I am white. He was born in the US. I asked him if the need for me to visit his parents' home before he proposes is an aspect of his culture. And he said, maybe. What? He's like, that's actually a pretty good excuse. Yeah,
maybe is hilarious.
Maybe.
Just maybe is crazy.
I don't want to be culturally insensitive at all. So if anyone has knowledge about this, please share. He doesn't even have knowledge about this. Now that we're 10 days out and he's realizing I'm serious, he spends all our time together begging me not to go through with it, but he's not planning to propose. He says it doesn't make sense because he's telling me that he would propose in December, but he was willing to take the risk of losing me rather than propose by April. I see where he's coming from in a way, if we do both want to get married, but I can't do this anymore. Also, I think he's an adult and find it insulting that he's blaming this whole thing on his parents not meeting me in their home. They're asking him constantly what his plan is with me. They don't know about the ultimatum. And so I get the impression that they are just as curious about the future of our relationship as I am. I don't think they sat him down and told him I need to visit them before he can propose, but that's just a hunch. Any advice or comments on the situation would be appreciated, and there is an update a year later. So I think we're going to get some of the juice.
That's tea.
That is tea, but do you have any sips to share?
I'll pour something out. I mean, next bro is going to be like, I was going to propose to you on 7th Street because 7 is my lucky number, but like 7th Street's been like so busy. It's like under construction. So like we have to wait till it's like done. I can't even imagine proposing to you. So like we need to wait for the city.
I mean, you're driving yourself crazy trying to, meet all of his insane demands and then putting your own demands that are as like malleable as freaking Play-Doh. No one actually is doing anything to solve these problems. And I think maybe the solve is to leave this relationship with a man who doesn't want to commit to you. But there is a year later update.
I'm ready.
I'm hoping it's going to go where I want it to go. March 2018. I couldn't go through with the ultimatum. I was planning to move out, actually find a new apartment, and wrote the check for the deposit. But when push came to shove, I couldn't picture my life without my boyfriend. I decided that I loved him too much to leave him over the arbitrary deadline that I created. I also believe that he meant what he said about getting engaged in December. I felt I was being silly for leaving him after 4.5 years because I wouldn't wait another few months. As a compromise, he said we could get a cat. I had been wanting one, but he'd been saying no. He said he'd go to at least one family event with me this year. Wow, one family event? That's so nice of him. On March 31st, the day I was planning to move out, we got a cat together. April to September of 2018. My boyfriend and I spent time enjoying each other without really mentioning the ultimatum. We both needed to recover from the damage it did to our relationship. I got a therapist and started working on myself. I picked up a new hobby, running. Yep, you certainly are running away from things. Developed new friendships and spent a lot of time working on my career and hanging out with my amazing new cat. I think focusing on myself, my career, and my friendships took some of the pressure off of him. Also, multiple family events came and went, and my boyfriend had an excuse not to attend all of them. I'm not sure it was that big of a deal anyway. By the end of the summer, we were doing great. And it was like the ultimatum never happened.
We ignored all of our problems and never brought it up, so it was all perfect.
He also complains about our cat constantly. September 2018, visiting his family. As I promised, I went to visit his parents in their home in September. As I mentioned in the previous post, he is Chinese American and I'm white. So I studied up on my basic Chinese and was able to speak and understand a little when we were all together. It was a great trip, and I genuinely enjoyed his parents and had a lot of fun in his hometown. I left a few days before he did so that he'd have time to spend with them alone and speak with them about his plans for us in the future. I asked him a few times how that conversation went, and he said that they're happy with us having a future together, but that getting engaged in December would be too fast. That seemed absolutely crazy to me. And again, it seemed like he was projecting his own views onto his parents. He also told me I needed to learn Chinese before we got married. His parents speak perfect English, but prefer Chinese when they are with family. So I started doing Rosetta Stone, October to December of 2018. Around November, I started getting antsy that my boyfriend was going to change his mind again. He was starting to show his pattern of making excuses. For instance, one day he casually mentioned that he couldn't propose by December because he needed to save money. We share finances and money is not an issue for either of us. Another time, he freaked out that I have student loans. Most people in my profession do. And I have a very secure job, good pay, and automatic loan payments, and demanded that he see a spreadsheet of my finances before he could consider having a future together. Luckily, I already have the spreadsheet, which I showed him, and he calmed down. In the meantime, my friends and family were starting to ask questions about the future wedding. Although they had the best intentions, it was stressing me out because I was worried that after all of this, there would be no wedding. I worked with my therapist on letting go of this stress, redirecting my family away from relationship questions. I also created a no nagging rule in my mind. I stopped dropping hints, mentioning wedding, engagement, etc. with my boyfriend. Didn't do it much anyway, as I had learned my lesson from the ultimatum. We spent Christmas together for the first time this year, and I really thought he would propose then. But he didn't, and I didn't bring it up or pout about it. He visited his family for New Year's, and I was left in our city working, so it definitely didn't happen then. January 2019. I accepted that he actually didn't follow through with what he said he would do, despite me holding up my end of the deal. I was the perfect girlfriend that he asked me to be, and I try to use this as an opportunity for growth, both individually and within the relationship, and still nothing changed. I was still on the momentum of not nagging him and trying to suppress all of my thoughts of wanting to marry him. It's now to the point that I equate my own thoughts of marrying him with shame and self-loathing, like they are bad thoughts that I shouldn't have. Your therapist sucks.
If I could just say real quick, what did she say? I was being the perfect girlfriend. Suppressing your feelings to appease someone else is not being the perfect girlfriend. You have the full right to express what you want and what you're looking for in a relationship. And it is not okay that, he brought you to a place where you feel like you have to just like screw this lid on everything you think and feel. Unacceptable.
Absolutely. You are allowed to ask for the things that you need in your relationship. He is allowed to say, I don't want those things. But then it's like, okay, maybe we depart. I realize I have been feeling so with my own desires for my future, which is so sad. But a few things have happened in the past few weeks that have made me realize that this is all BS. Whew, it took a while. First, one of my superiors at work offered me some great opportunities at my job if I stayed on board long term. However, my boyfriend wants to think about moving us out of the city we live in because we don't like it here. I'm actually okay with it for the most part. He also has given a hard no to ever moving back to my home state. His reason, my family lives there and they annoy him. I started thinking, wow, this person is putting a lot of limits on my life for someone who still can't commit to me for the long term. Then this weekend, I went back to my home state for my best friend's baby shower. Also, I want to have kids. That's the main reason I'm in a hurry to get married. Biological clock is ticking. So yesterday, I was hanging out with my friend and her husband, helping them set up their nursery, and I had this aha moment where I realized that it's okay for me to want to get married and have kids. There's no shame in having my own wants.
Yes.
Oh, he's finally realizing it. And at this point, not only have my wants and desires been shut down by my boyfriend, no marriage, we can't stay in the city where I have job opportunities. We also can't live in my home state where my entire family is. But I've internalized this sense of shame about expressing or feeling anything that conflicts with his desires. So I'm starting to form a plan to move on, because this dude has taken more from my life than he's adding to it. I'm hoping to get anyone's opinion, advice, support about where to go from here. Also, I am willing to hear all the I told you so's from everyone who said I needed to leave this guy in March when I said I would. I totally deserve it. Thank you for reading. And there is a third update. I do want to point out that it's been a year, and while OP is thinking about it, she has not actually broke up with her boyfriend. I'm hoping that the next update that we get does do that.
You can't be a perfect girlfriend to someone who truly doesn't want you.
The thing is, you were literally meeting all of the goalposts. You started learning Chinese. You will never meet them because he's got to keep moving.
I think Opie's finally having the epiphany, which is great.
Some people need 5 years to realize that their partner doesn't want to be with them.
It can happen. We've seen it longer on this show. But the important part is she is realizing it. She is growing, and we're slowly steering the ship back towards, like OP said, just because I want to have kids and get married, it's not a bad thing. Yes. Do not demonize yourself. There is no bad want or need.
But let's get into this update. I spoke with my boyfriend last night about all of this. I started by asking what his roadblocks are and where he sees the relationship going. He brought up the fact that it's moving too fast for his parents. You liar. Your parents don't think your 5-year relationship is moving too fast. And some issues that he has with the relationship. Number 1, that we don't make decisions together. For example, the fact that I wanted to stay in our city for career opportunities despite him wanting to move next year. Also, sometimes I make plans to hang out with friends on weekends when he's free instead of us planning the weekends together. Second point is that you have friends. Cool. Number 3, he worries about the fact that I get a lot of Amazon packages and he doesn't know what I'm buying. I showed him my Amazon history. It's mostly household supplies that we both use and occasionally supplies for my hobby. But that's like $20 a month max. Also, that is all on my credit card, which I comfortably pay off each month.
Hey, you need to stop buying soaps online or I'm breaking up with you. The proposal is off.
This man would have a conniption if he lived in our house. So I don't think I need to clear every purchase by him. And he also doesn't like that I'm chronically 5 minutes late to everything. That's true, and my fault. 5 minutes late is like really not that bad.
Basically, OP's existence is wrong in this man's eyes.
There is nothing wrong with you. Also, since it came up a lot in the comments, I wanted to mention that he explicitly said that none of this has to do with cultural barriers or the fact that we're an interracial couple. Well, actually, he explicitly said, maybe. After all this, he said he's not ready for marriage. Shocker. By the way, you should be ready to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. We are alarmingly close to the end of the story. I'm worried. I'm just hoping this update with her breaking up with this man, because if it doesn't, you're the a-hole. I was pretty pissed and told him I wished he told me this a year ago so I could have moved on. The only credit I will give him is that he did tell you that he didn't want to marry you a year ago. He basically tried to keep me around for another year so that he would have more time to figure out if he was ready. So I told him the relationship is over, and he is appearing to be in disbelief. He's trying to be really nice now, probably to get me to change my mind, but I'm remaining gently firm here. The relationship is over. That was a nightmare, a 5-year nightmare.
I feel like I had like a rotting, just like nerve exploding tooth just like implanted in my jaw. And I'm like, please, someone just yank it out with pliers immediately.
I really love the phrasing of I remain gently firm, because I can just imagine her being like, no, I think I have to leave you.
He's like, babe, I'll let you have one extra soap that you order on Amazon. We cool?
I think it's really funny because I do think in these scenarios, a lot of times, like the partner is scared that the relationship's gonna end. They're like, okay, fine, I'll marry you. Obviously, it doesn't even seem like he tried that hard. He was just nicer. But yeah, she left him finally.
Yes, happy ending.